Okay, good afternoon, everyone. We're just going to start the service in just a few short moments. I'd ask everyone for a couple things. Number one is find a place that you're comfortable standing and listening. If it's behind the tent, behind the tent. If it's in the tent, try not to block anybody else. If there's a seat available, great. But I'd ask people to get themselves settled. And of course, if they have a cell phone that's not on silent or vibrate, this would be the time to turn your cell phone to silent or vibrate. And we'll just begin shortly. You will see shortly that we're going to bring Walter's casket up all the way to the gravesite. Sorry again, I'm sorry. So who's going to say it? Gabriel.
Yeah, I knew you were there. I was calling him. I gave you the popcorn. This is Irina and Gabby. You haven't seen for a long time. You remember Jerry? Okay. בסוף. כן. אוקיי. אתה מאיר? מאיר. כן? כן, שמעתי עליך. כן. One last call if anyone needs a pamphlet or a yarmulke. I would ask you to find a place. Try not to block somebody behind you.
Friends, if you have a cell phone or a pager, please take a moment to turn it off or place it in the silent mode. And officiating today's services will be Rabbi Eitan Allen.
Okay, good afternoon. On behalf of the extended Kaiser family, I want to thank everybody, both friend and family, who've traveled from near and far. Some people literally just got off the highway to make it, and it means so much to every single person who's from the family that's here. People flew in, people drove, rearranged their days, and I'm sure Walter would be immensely grateful, and he was the kind of person that would do that for his friends and family as well. My name is Rabbi Eitan Allen. I'm the rabbi at Park Plaza Retirement Community, and I had the privilege of being Walter's friend for the last number of years. And I say that very easily because he was someone who was very easy to be his friend, and it was very easy to give out his friendship to others. And that if you knew him, you knew that was the case. So thank you for joining us as we say goodbye and we pay tribute when we begin the funeral services for Walter R. Kaiser. As we started talking, it sort of got overcast. The sun kind of went away. The wind whipped up. And these are the emotions that we're feeling, that as life changes and times change and people that we know and love to pass on, so we feel the winds of life changing. We feel the ebbs and flows. We feel sometimes the sun goes into the clouds. We don't exactly know when it'll peek out again. It will peek out again, but it's sometimes hard to tell when is it coming back. And as we come to grips with the loss of a dear friend, of a family member, of a father, of a grandfather, of a close confidant, we have those feelings of the cloudiness that comes, but the sun that yet will peek out. Walter would have had a good joke probably at this point, but I'll let you imagine that. We begin with the words of David. King David immortalizes so much emotion in the Psalms, and now we'll recite both in Hebrew and English as we begin the services. Ashrei ha'ish asher lo halach bi'atzas v'shayim v'b'derech hatayim lo amad v'moshev leitzim lo yashav ki mitoras Adonai chepso v'b'toraso yegeh yomam v'layla v'ayaka eish asul al palgei mayim asher piryo yitein b'ito v'aleyu lo yibol v'chol asher yaseh yatzliach lochein harishayim ki im kamotz asher tidfenu ruach al kein lo yakum rishayim mishpat v'chatas ba'adas tzadikim ki yodei Adonai derech tzadikim v'derech rishayim toved. Happy is the one who has not followed the counsel of the wicked, nor stood in the paths of the sinners, nor sat in the company of the scornful. Rather, that one's delight is in the Torah of the Lord, meditating in God's Torah day and night. And he will be like the tree planted by streams of water that yields its fruit in its season, whose leaf will not wither, and whatever that one does prospers. Not so the wicked, who wither and are strewn away like the chaff in the wind. Therefore the wicked shall not survive judgment, nor the sinners in the assembly of the righteous. For the Lord loves the way of the righteous, but the way of the wicked is doomed. David continues in the 23rd Psalm and says, a song of David, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not lack. God causes me to lie down in lush pastures. God leads me beside tranquil waters. God restores my soul, and God guides me in the righteousness paths for God's name's sake. Though I shall walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff comfort me. You prepare a table before all of my adversaries. You have anointed my head with oil, my cup overflows. May only goodness and kindness pursue me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord for a length of days. As we begin to say goodbye to someone who we knew for so long, and we sit in this place of loved ones, it stirs things up in us. And for those of us who have not been in the cemetery in maybe a month or two or more, there's actually a blessing that we recite. So I'll recite that blessing now on behalf of everybody, and we'll respond Amen, because we're supposed to be moved at these times. And again, in Hebrew and in English, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher yotzer eschem badin v'zan v'chilkel eschem badin, v'hemis eschem badin v'yodea mispar kulchem badin, v'u'asid lachayosem lachayim eschem badin, Baruch atah Adonai mechayei hamesim. Blessed are you, the Lord our God, ruler of the universe, who fashioned you with justice, and nourished and sustained you with justice, took your lives with justice, and knows the sum total of all you in the justice, and will restore and resuscitate the dead. Blessed are you who revives the dead. We say to you, O Lord, you are eternally mighty, the reviver of the dead, abundant to save. God sustains the living with kindness, revives the dead with abundant compassion, supports the fallen, heals the sick, releases the confined, and maintains faith with those asleep in the earth. Who is like you, master of mighty deeds, and who is comparable to you? Ruler who causes death and restores life, and makes salvation sprout. And you are trustworthy to revive the dead. Walter was a man of many talents, many projects, many endeavors, many successful endeavors, and many wonderful chapters in his life. And they really were chapters. You could take different decades and write little books about what he did this decade and what he did that decade, and what was going on in his life, and who were in his sphere of influence, and as his family grew, the children, etc. And he had so many little chapters, and we at Park Plaza only knew glimpses of the stories. We would find out a little more, when someone would come to visit, a son, a grandchild. We would find a little here. He would tell us a story. He would show us a picture with a famous actor or a famous sports personality, and we would learn little glimpses from this very almost storybook life that he had, and definitely storybook affairs and endeavors and times that he lived. It was really touching, and still is very moving to have a chance to sit down with his two granddaughters, with Brittany and Natalie, yesterday, to just talk about his life. Many of you by now have probably written the wonderful piece that was written. That's available on the funeral website. It's available on the Tribune website. Just really encapsulating some of the highlights of his really remarkable life. But they also wanted to share in person, so I'd offer right now to have the granddaughters come up. Brittany's going to come up and just share some words about her dear grandfather. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for being here today. It means a lot to me. It means a lot to everyone here in the family, to all of Walter's friends, and of course to Walter himself. When I was able to come back to Chicago last time to spend time with him, he knew that he had limited time left with us. And what he shared with me was that one of the most important parts of his final wishes was that his family and friends would gather to be there with him as he left us at a traditional Jewish graveside funeral. So thank you for helping me and our family in carrying out what was so important to him in his final hours with us. As you all know, my grandfather probably led a more exciting and colorful life than nearly anyone on this planet. So he spent 88 glorious years with us, with so many accomplishments, most of all having created such a global network of friends and to have produced such a giant family of wonderful people. And I'm so glad to see so many of you here today. He loves each and every one of you as you loved him. And it is just so wonderful to have this time here together. And perhaps that's one of the most beautiful parting gifts that he's giving us, is an opportunity for all of us to be together again. Because gathering his friends and family together in order to celebrate anything in life was one of his favorite things to do, and I think everybody here knows that very well. So it's with a very heavy heart that we have to say goodbye to Walter Kaiser, who was such an incredible man, so generous and so loving until his final days. I'm going to try my best to hold it together and read a poem that touches me very much. It was written by Mary Elizabeth Fry. Some of you have probably heard it before. And it was actually written just a few months before Walter was born. So if you just give me a moment, I will bring it up. Do not stand at my grave and weep. I am not there. I do not sleep. I am 1,000 winds that blow. I am the diamond glints on snow. I am the sunlight on ripened grain. I am the gentle autumn's rain. When you awaken in the morning hush, I am the swift uplifting rush of quiet birds in circled flight. I am the soft stars that shine at night. Do not stand at my grave and cry. I am not there. I did not die. Thank you, everyone, again. I love you, Grandpa. I know you'll always be with us.
Thank you, Brittany. That was beautiful. Thank you so much. As I mentioned to them yesterday, if anybody that's moved or feels like they would like to share a memory or a quick thought or a quick poem of some sorts, even if they haven't officially registered, they can come up and share something. We would be very moved. And I know Walter and the family, by extension, will be very grateful. But I'd also like to call now, there's an old Jewish concept that one's never done in life. There's no such thing as being retired. There's no such thing as the day doesn't have meaning or purpose. Every day we live has value, and every stage of our life has purpose. So I remember, when we heard a number of years ago that, I was meeting Walter, and he said, "Oh yes, he still has a young son," and I was like, "Oh, well, that's not as common." But if you knew Walter, life never was over. There was always more to do. There was always another chapter to live, more love to have, more to give. And so it was excitement, which we, learned of young Gabriel. And so, as another one of the children, I'd like to have Gabriel say some words about his dad.
Hello, I'm here on this day with you unwillingly. I never wanted this day to come, but I knew it eventually would. So what I'm going to do is focus on the days that I had my father by my side. I remember every time I came to my dad's house for the night, the next morning we would go to yoke. For his first couple of months going to yoke consistently, they called him sir, and he was always respectful towards them and tipped extra. Following these first months, the waiter started calling him Walter, and he learned every single one's name as well. He treated them with so much respect and of course had his usual, the eggs benedict with extra sauce and homemade fresh squeezed orange juice. The sheer concept that he got so close to people that are meant to just give you your food and move on with their day is amazing. The compassion and respect the workers and my father shared with each other, it inspires me and helps me truly understand what respect is. I'll never forget this man. And he'll forever be in my heart. Thank you.
Once again, if there's anyone who would like to just on the spur add something or share a thought of memory, I know there is going to be time together as a family later to gather. And of course, there will be plenty of time to share memories, both in person, writing, and email, etc. And I know the family will appreciate those when they come. As I said, there is a wonderful obituary written up about Walter that you can see on the Y and the website, detailing so many of the amazing events. But just to spend a few minutes of a wonderful life, 88 years young, and I always felt that. I mean, when I found out how old he was, I didn't believe it. Whether it was the way the mustache looked or the color in his hair, I never thought he was 88. He had a vibrance and a youth that was beyond his life. Walter was born on July 19th, 1933, and he passed away just now on September 12th, 88 years young. He was really a child of Chicago. He was a lover of Chicago, and it was a lifetime love affair, probably between Chicago and Walter. Probably a few restaurants in the city that he wasn't at, and a few hotels that he hadn't been there, at least to know what they were like inside. Certainly sports clubs, he was probably at them all if he hadn't started them all. And he led an amazing life. His father had been an engineer, I believe, and he followed suit with his brother as well, both engineers, and went to Northwestern, graduated mechanical engineering, and went to work with Dad. And they took what was, I guess, basically an air conditioning business, and they expanded it. And it grew and grew, and went in ways that you could have never assumed an air conditioning business would go in. Eventually dealing with sporting teams and with athletic clubs and all types of real estate, and just well beyond the mechanical engineering in Northwestern. He was extremely close with his three brothers. with Jordon and Burton. Jordon, Burton, Walter, they just did amazing things together, those three brothers. You know, if they were not business partners, they were partners in friendship, they were partners in love of sports or love of entertainment, the arts, movies. You know, they all shared different aspects. And Burton was more of the movies and Jordon was more of the sports. But, you know, these brothers had a strong bond and they did amazing things in the city of Chicago and started amazing ventures together. One thing that really resonates throughout Walter's whole life was his deep love of mankind, of people, and love of life. And he had so many people that he loved in his life, so many people that he was close to, so many people that he touched. Certainly, 3 times he was married, but I know there were other women in his life as well that he was very close to at different times. And he brought into this world an amazing family. David, Larry, Stephanie were all here. And your dad was incredible and loved you more than anything. You were his pride and joy. To his grandchildren, to Natalie and Brittany, also, just so proud of you. Just couldn't gush up enough about how wonderful his family was. To Gabriel, who just heard for such a pride and joy, such a apple of his eye you were. You know, to the other members of the family, right? To his wife Judith, to Eleanor, Pam and Louie. I don't think Pam and Louie, did they make it? They're not. Louie's here. To Louie, I know, and Pam, his other children. I mean, so many stages to his family, to his love, and to his connections. Mentioned Irina, how devoted he was, and how much you gave him so much happiness for so many years. Ola, I think I saw somewhere, and how good you were to him, how much love you gave to him, and he felt that way back. And he was so appreciative. You allowed him with dignity to go through his time. And he had a great imagination for life. He wanted to go places. He wanted to do things. Whether it was the sports teams or the athletic clubs, or it was the traveling, it was the restaurants, it was the hotels, it was the zest for life. He wasn't just happy with the regular run-of-the-mill. He wanted to make his mark. He wanted to see things, and he wanted to embrace things. Life is worth living, and life is worth enjoying. And those were things that were so real for him. And even though there was much financial success over different years and many great ventures, publicity, and things that, again, most of us will never do some of the incredible things he did and some of the things that ended up in the headlines, ultimately, when you talk to people that knew him, when you talk to people that were close to him, the things that came out for him were that he was kind, he was generous, he was magnanimous, he was supporting, there was a grace. It wasn't all about the headlines at the end of the day and what you could acquire materialistically, but ultimately it was about who you could give to, who you could be kind to, who you could be philanthropic to, how you could give to your loved ones, how you could support them. He was always affable. It was easy to be friendly with him, easy to feel like he was one of the guys. It was only later that we'd tell you about all of his fun achievements. And so there was much to say. And I felt very poignant as I was driving up here. We passed a sports bar here right on the corner. I don't know if anyone else saw this. All the Chicago teams are right here on the corner in big flags waving at a sports bar. I think Walter would have been smiling to know that that was in right over here in the eye where he could see it. Can't help but think about the water tower, Michigan Avenue, Magnificent Mile, and so much of the life and the heartbeat of Chicago. As I said, I think he had a constant love affair with this city. And so even though maybe Park Plaza is not the Taj Mahal of entertainment of Chicago, you know, there was so many other venues. We were like, you've been there, and you know that person, and you've done that? And you said, uh-huh. And they would have a picture to prove it. You know, it's interesting when we think about this world and leaving it and going up to the next world. We think about heaven. This is a time of spiritual thoughts. We happen to be, for those who keep your Jewish calendar open, about a day before Yom Kippur. And so these are times when our thoughts travel to some of the more intense parts of life and meaning and searching for goodness and path. So there's an interesting piece in the Talmud. The Talmud, the source of Jewish wisdom, asks says that there are 6 questions that a man is asked, a man, a woman, a person is asked when they get up to those, so to speak, the pearly gates. Not sure why we all assume they're pearly, but whatever the gates look like, when we get up there's 6 questions the Talmud says you're asked. One of them is, were you honest in business? Nasata v'nasata be'emunah. Now, again, I never went through Walter's books. I never asked. He never showed me. And I know he had many, many business dealings. But I think he was someone people wanted to work with. I think he was somebody who tried to do the right thing. I think he was somebody who tried to turn the other cheek and give to his partners and his employees and be there for the people. You try to be a mensch when it came to your business practices. Another one of the questions that are asked is, did you spend time in this world adding to the world? Were you fruitful and multiply? So I think we could say that about Walter. I think he left his mark on this world. So many beautiful children, grandchildren. I think I saw a beautiful great-grandchild over there. Were you Osik and bring... Oh, here he is. Hello, Orion. Did you add to this wonderful world? Did you leave your legacy not just by the people you touch, but by physical people? Did you bring more families? And he expanded the Kaiser Mishpacha. He expanded the family, and he brought wonderful people into this world. Did you try to learn from people? Pil palta b'chachma. Did you learn from people? Again, he loved people. He was one of those guys who wanted to get to know your name. As you said, Gabriel, he wanted to know the name of the waiter. He wanted to learn who you were, what you were doing. He just didn't want to pass you by. If you were somebody that he came in contact with, whether it was at the club or it was at a restaurant or it was traveling, he wanted to know your story. He wanted to know who you are. He wanted to treat you like a mensch, like a person. And, he learned from people that he went in contact with. And I think an interesting question that's not in the same piece of Talmud, but it's another place in Jewish sources, is God asked from us, did we enjoy the world? Did we enjoy this world? Did we go through this world and enjoy what the world has to offer? There's a story of a great rabbi that towards the time he was getting older, he couldn't walk so well, he couldn't travel so well. He told his students, I want you to take me to see the Swiss Alps. I've never seen the Swiss Alps. Please take me to see the Swiss Alps. And they said, well, Rabbi, you've got a long white beard, you're older, you don't travel so well. He says, no, I need to see the Swiss Alps. So they took him to see the Swiss Alps. He said, well, why do you need to see the Swiss Alps? He said, because God's going to ask me at the end of the day, when I get up there, he's going to say, did you see the Alps? God wants to know, did you enjoy my world? There's another version that says, did you eat every fruit that there was to eat? So I don't know if Walter ate every fruit there was to eat. I don't know if he was ever in the Swiss Alps or not. I imagine he might have been, right? But he went all over the world, and he wanted to see the world. He wanted what the world was. He didn't want God to say to him, did you enjoy my world, Walter? And he'd say, yeah, I enjoyed it. I had a good time, and I saw what there was to see, and I left my imprint. Ultimately, a kind man, a generous man, a man who wanted to be your friend, a man who left a tremendous mark on Chicago skyline and Chicago, cultural history, I would say, but also somebody who loved his family fiercely and dearly, was a proud Jewish person, was a proud member of the community, and was ultimately, as we say, a mensch, a good person who wanted to do the right thing, who loved so many people in his life and wanted to see them be happy, wanted to see them thrive. And although he's leaving us now in body, that spirit of family, that spirit of connection, that spirit of enjoying the world, of giving to the world, of celebrating life, and of celebrating each other, those things we learn from Walter, and those things should go with us and stay with us in our heart. May Walter's memory continue to be a blessing for all of us who knew and loved him, and may all his family find comfort. As a cousin? Yes? Your cousin, right? Your wife is in... Okay, is your wife's Uncle Mayor wants to say a few words.
Okay. I want to say something about Walter. He's honest. What is honest? What's happened here? He is honest, lover, and helper. Anytime. Even if I'm in Israel, he told me, come, I have work for you. I come from Israel to stay here. He give me apartment to live. He opened his closet. He said, "Mayor, take anything you want in a water tower. Take anything you want." I said, "I don't want it." He said, "Take." He always generous with everybody. He's such a lovely, lovely person. And I remember water tower. I bring my little Dora. She's a baby, and he hold her. He got so happy. I said, "Walter, this is my." He got so happy, unbelievable. You know what I mean? This is like a human being. What's I don't believe any human being coming in generation coming up. I don't believe. The old generation, the real people, the real love, and I wish everybody to have the old generation much, much happy and much more, appreciated life. But what I want to say, one day he come to me and he told me, "Meir, you want to buy a piece of ice?" I said, "What I need a piece of ice? What I need, I take the piece of ice." He said, "No, it's mahogany thing. The one, that's it. I only ice I have. A big piece of ice, and a hockey." He said, "You want to buy it?" I said, "Walter, what I do with a piece of ice?" I remember, he's in a few years, 3 years where he lived, we used to see him a lot of times. All the time. Talk to him on the phone, laugh, and all the time we say, "We love you, Walter," and he said, "I love you too, I love you too." I used to bring my wife and me lunches and sit with him outside and have a nice time with him. Sometimes Brittany she comes, sometimes Brian, sometimes this. And if I tell him I'm coming, I go and I buy for him corned beef, anything he likes. And he's love it, And he used to tell story how much he loved his family, his children, and grandchildren. This is Walter. Walter, we're gonna miss you. My wife, my daughter, and me, and everybody here, we always love you. And I want to say to you, goodbye. إن الشمال שלך תהיה בצרור החיים גן עדן העליון. I'm gonna say Kaddish all year for you. Any Kaddish in the shul, I go 3 times to prayer, and any this in the shul. A big shul, you have 1,000 family. I do for you the Kaddish for you, and Neshama go straight to Gan Eden. Amen, Kenerason. Amen, Kenerason, v'nomar amen.
Before we continue with the burial, just to recite one more psalm. David says in Psalm 16, "Mechtam David, guard me, O God, for you I have taken refuge. You have said to the Lord, you are my Lord. I have no good beyond you. As for the holy ones who are in the earth, and in the mighty whom is all my desire, their sorrows will multiply, those that run to other gods. Their blood libations will I not pour out, or take their names upon my lips. The Lord is my allotted portion and my snare. You sustain my fate. Portions have fallen to me in pleasant places. Lovely indeed is my estate. I will bless the Lord who has given me counsel. My conscience admonishes me at night. I have set the Lord before me always, because God is at my right hand. I shall not falter. Therefore my heart rejoices, and my entire being exults. Also my body will rest secure, for you will not abandon me to the grave, nor will you let me, your devout one, see destruction. You will make known to me the path of life. In your presence is fullness. There is delight at your right hand for eternity." We will now continue with the burial, with the dirt, as well as the laying of the roses. We're going to start with the lowering of the casket, and then we'll continue on. custom, we take care of our own. And it's a sacred mitzvah, a sacred commandment to bury our own. And it is a kavod acharon, it's an honor, and it's also a mitzvah. So if we're able to, begin with the shovel upside down as a tradition. We're not happy about doing this, although we do it as an honor, but then right away we can flip it over. So we're going to ask the children and the grandchildren and spouses to come up first. Those who want to help with the burial. And of course, if you want to just come up facing those, if you want to shovel and place the rows, do any combination you like. Let's put the top one first, and then we'll show you how to do the burial. Just ask if you are going to come forward that the ground is still a little bit tricky because of the hole. Just be careful. Down, but then we're going to ask families, children, spouses, grandchildren to come up first, and then anyone else, friends and family who wants to come up and either shovel or place a rose or any combination of that. On either side of the grave again, just as the rabbi said, please be careful, but you can come forward on either side and use either of the shovels on either the close side or the far side of the shovel. If you haven't gotten the flour, there should be extras as well.
And friends, just as a reminder, as people are participating in the burial, the family has requested that any memorial contributions in Walter's memory to the Prostate Cancer Foundation. That information is available on the service folder as well as on our website. And following the interment, following the completion of the burial, the family will be together and is inviting people to the Erie Cafe at 536 Erie Street upon the conclusion of the burial here at the cemetery until 6 p.m. Thank you.
Anybody else would like a chance to shovel? Okay, we're going to be finishing up the burial portion in just a moment. We would ask people to sort of either get back to where they were or just to kind of take another spot for the last few moments of the service. Okay, this is the final call. Anyone else who would like to either shovel or place a rose? Okay, that was the last call. If you would just find some place to, for the last few minutes of the service, we'll recite the last few prayers. Okay, I would turn your attention, if you are one of the family members, grandchildren who's going to be saying the Kaddish is going to be on the back of the pamphlet. We'll recite together. But before that is the Kel Maleh, the memorial prayer, and then we will recite the Kaddish. Again, in Hebrew and in English. El Maleh Rachamim, Shochen B'Amromim, Hamseh Menucha Nechona, Kanfei Ashchina, B'Mahalosh Kedoshim Torim, Kizor Harakim Azirim, Esh Nishmas, Wolf Ben Hirschel Shalach Leolamo, Bavor Shanachnu Mispalim Baras Karas Nishmaso, Began Eden Dehe Menuchaso, L'chein ba'al harachamim yasireh b'seis k'nafav li'olamim v'yitziror b'tzor achayim es nishmaso Adonai hu nachalaso v'yanuach b'shalom al mishkavo v'nomar Amen. God, full of compassion, who dwells on high, grant proper repose on the sheltering wings of your presence in the lofty levels of the holy and pure, who shine as the brightness of the firmament onto the soul of Walter, son of Harry and Mary, who has gone to his world, and in whose memory we pray. May his repose be in paradise. May the Master of Compassion bring him under the cover of God's wings and bind his soul in the bond of life. May the Lord be his heritage, and may he repose on his resting place in peace. And let us respond, Amen. We'll now say the final Kaddish prayer again. If you have the booklets, the pamphlets, it's on the very back page of the pamphlets. We'll recite together. Yiskadal v'yiskadash shemei rabba v'yalma divrach Yerusei v'yamlich machusei v'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayei dechol beis Yisrael b'agala u'bizman kariv imru amen. Yehei shmei rabba v'barach l'olam u'meyom maya yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnasei V'yithadar, v'yitale, v'yitalal, Shemei d'kudsha b'richu, Leila min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, Tamiran b'yamav v'imru amen. Yehei shlom rabba min shemaya, V'chaim aleinu v'akol Yisrael v'imru Amen. Oseh shalom imramav. Hu yaseh shalom. Aleinu v'akol Yisrael v'imru Amen. Once again, I say on behalf of all the family, thank you for being with us. You all were special to Walter, and you made a tremendous impact on his life as he did to yours. As we just said in the Kaddish, Oseh shalom imramav. He who makes peace upstairs should make peace for all of us. May our hearts find peace for those who are mourning. May those who need comfort find comfort. We say to all the children and the extended family, may you find comfort amongst the mourners of Zion and Jerusalem. As we are going on to the ebbs of tomorrow of Yom Kippur, we wish everyone a Shana Tova, a good year, a happy and healthy year. Walter would wish that to all of you. It should be a year for blessings for everyone's family and goodness for everyone. And may we go with our hearts full of a wonderful person who loved so many, who loved life and wanted only goodness and good things for his family and only good things for the world. Thank you again all for being here on behalf of the cemetery, on behalf of Chicago Jewish Funerals. Once again, Shana Tova. And as you heard earlier, the family will be gathering at Erie Cafe from 4 to 6. Please see them if you need directions. Okay, thank you everyone.